Alright, people, and we're live, it seems, here on Rauta, January 2026. I hope everything is rolling as intended, even if though my lights are on. I need to get them shut down when I fetch a beer. So, welcome to the stream, and once again, should you have any questions, just tag me to make sure. Now, time for a beer, and we'll be right back. So we are up and running, and I hope everything is running smoothly. I haven't been using OBS for a lot of streaming, not too many times. So I'm here like thinking if everything is working fine. And it seems at least someone popped online. So happy New Year, Danieth, and everyone else too joining the stream. Once again, we have beers for the stream provided by Mallasepat. This time I'm starting with Fest beer, which is Oktoberfest beer, a little bit late to the party. Now, unfortunately, today I have a little bit of a schedule problem, meaning that I have to be done by midnight. And as such, where the hell is my phone? I cannot make it more than 90 minutes today. Gotta check out something on my phone. So, there it is. Someone was already donating money for Rauta's New Year 2026. If you were present here on the stream, thank you so much. So, sorry, I have to take some errands here. So, Black Widow, Guy Incognito, welcome to the stream. So, let's start drinking beer because beer makes a lot of things better in this place. Now, I have a lot of things in my mind which I forget to write down for this very topic. Here is, by the way, how the beer looks. Cheers to you all. So, I try to remember, go through these essential things when going about the streams. As always, if you have any questions, make sure to tag me, and I'll notice your comments more quickly. I'll just see if there's something mandatory I have to see before the stream is going on and all. So don't mind me doing that. Hello, Marcus. Welcome to the stream as well. I'm a little bit like 10 minutes late to the start. I'm supposed to start 10:30 Finnish time, which is like 8:30 GMT. But as it seems, taking shower straight after the gym, eating pizza. I had some like great pizza straight after the gym. You know, I was kind of a little bit what I was saying, reading some comments, and soon I realized, god damn, I'm like 10 minutes late. What's Marcus having? Gyoza. 18 corner. Oh, sounds good. And Anti-Social is asking, do I like Amebix? I'll be honest with you, I never listened to Amebix. Never been too much into, punk or hardcore music that much. So that was like bygones by the time I had figured out. Gotta do some band stuff here. Yeah, Anti-Social, I don't really doubt that. But, metallic punk might be my cup of tea. I never got into punk, basically. So it was like you know, a thing I missed because my friends were not just simply into it. So when I found metal, basically it was through hard rock. I mean, when I was a kid, things like Metal Crew, Twisted Sister, Wasp, etc. And when the second wave for me listening to metal, when I was maybe early teen or something like that, then it was just full blown metal. So what I'm saying here is that nobody was listening to punk, nobody was listening to hardcore, and as such, I was kind of like missing out on those things, which a lot of older generation than me were like growing on. Meaning that a lot of course, thrash metal bands and even black metal bands, death metal bands, they were growing on punk and hardcore and all that stuff. But I was kind of a little bit late to that party. And when I was older, my musical taste was just getting, heavier, which means, I wasn't interested in bands that were like less heavy, less brutal, less dark, and all that stuff. So obviously, punk was totally out of question. Even the ones that I loved in the past, like heavy rock, hard rock, or heavy metal, uh, even those I had lost interest because everything had to be more brutal, more violent, more extreme. And that what I'm talking about here is early to mid 90s when I was finding about all about death metal and black metal and all that stuff. And that went for years. Now some bands managed to survive in my listening ways. I don't know if there's a better way to put it. Meaning, like, for example, I never kind of abandoned Wasp, but there were bands for a few years that were kind of a gone for me because, I just simply, you know, I didn't have any interest in them. It had to be extreme metal. So whatever was out of that sense in a way didn't much interest me. Though, of course, there were always exceptions, like I said, and all, of course, things like dark metal, gothic metal, Viking metal, even some folk music made their way somehow. But, mostly I was not interested to go beyond the scope of extreme metal. So, in that sense, I mean, while it would be kind of expected that I would, have some kind of a roots in punk and hardcore stuff, I mean, it wasn't simply musically speaking to me. And another thing is, I mean, you have to understand, back in the 90s, punk guys and black metal bands, at least in my city and what I've read in many, many other places as well, I guess, punk and black metal guys were not exactly enemies to one another. More like we were kind of like coming from the different angle to, challenge the establishment and, society in a way. But our approach was entirely different. So whereas punk might have been like, fuck capitalism and fuck politicians and fuck this, fuck that, we were about, anti-religion and those powers that be related to, religions. But even if we were anti-society, we were not interested in so much like politics, like left or right or whatever. So we might have had similar ideas, but still quite different. And so the angle was very, very much different. So in that sense, the kind of anarchy and in a way more, I guess, left wing thinking, it wasn't our part, So while we were definitely not on the right wing side either, to us, I guess, as plural, I mean, in a band and all, we were not interested in, politics, left or right, all the same bullshit. And that's something that I have keep carrying on with my life pretty much the entire adult life. And while religions were our main interest, like fuck them and fuck the kind of things with these religions and other people being more conservative, they were I guess in a way our enemies. So I didn't even share the ideological side to be invested in punk music and hardcore stuff. And sometimes their ways of being moralizing to us, like don't do drugs or don't do booze and become a better person and go against corporation. We were like, what the fuck? This is not our world, Um, so in a way, punk wasn't really speaking to me, not musically, not ideologically. And all the few punk bands I heard back in the days, they were also, in a way, too happy music for me. I know, obviously, nowadays that not all punk, not to mention hardcore, is too happy, but in a way, it was kind of positive music. I wasn't into that stuff, so I was into, dark and violent topics and, all that stuff, evil, sinister world. So, punk didn't really make much of a sense. I know this is a long answer, but I want to be kind of a thorough with the ideas here. But, however, that being mentioned, in 1995, I spent few months basically being a vocalist of somewhat crossover band which had some punk ideas. The lyrics were not typical punk, but in hindsight, I kind of started to understand that these guys were kind of like putting together some kind of a crossover idea of punk mentality, a metal and hardcore, but it wasn't the typical metal band for sure, but not the typical punk band either. I wouldn't know nowadays what the proper genre would be for that band. Because I haven't heard those songs since, like, I don't know, 95 or 96. And I eventually got kicked out of the band because I wasn't participating enough. I don't know if that was the right reason, but that was what they told me. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a bullshit thing because I didn't skip many rehearsals. But I figured out, okay, musically it's not my kind of thing, so I'm not gonna be begging, like, please bear with me, let's make a better band. Because let's be honest, it was kind of a shitty band, but it was kind of a very important step after my first band in 94, which was a death metal band. So I was kind of happy to be in a band, even though it wasn't musically not like my thing. And after that, I joined a black metal band, and the rest is history. So yeah. So yeah, never had a real punk background. I even dated a girl around 94, 95 who was into that kind of stuff. I think she was active in the, left wing politics kind of stuff, had punk friends, I guess. I never had problem with any of those guys. And some people were like skaters. Never had any problem with them, but I also felt like I'm a little bit of outsider. Like those are the good guys, and I'm not one of the good guys. So there was always like a little bit of separation between me and them. Like to me, they were like in a way too normal from my mindset. And I'm not saying like I'm the most morbid guy in the block because I'm not, but in a way, I always felt that even though punks are outsiders to normal society, to me, I'm an outsider when it comes to punk people and all that stuff. Way too many of them, just had normal short hair, wearing normal clothing, and while they might be full of anger and some kind of a rebellion towards society and politics and all that stuff, I still felt like they were still, normal people, and I didn't want to be one of those normal people. I might have a normal job and I could behave normally, but I still felt like I'm outsider among outsiders, if that makes sense. All right, moving on. Once again, if you want to make sure that I see your questions, just tag me. At least it's supposed to work like this. Tag, tag, tag. And, that pops up with a color, like when I tag this Rauta metal, I will see it in bright orange. So just try to tag me if you want to make sure I'm going to see your questions. What else? Daynat has this like, any thoughts on the new Keres album? I haven't heard it, so cannot say anything about it. I never got it for review and all, but I mean, I've heard the band name already, of course, but I don't remember hearing that. Now I have to check it out if I'm not talking out of my ass. Let's see. We're talking about, I think this... Which one? There are actually two bands. Keres from Italy, the black death metal band. And then there is like this... Finnish black metal band. However, both are active. Didn't know that there are two bands of Keres. I guess you're referring to this Finnish black metal band by the maker Atvar. He made 2 albums in 2025. That's kind of a strange, but no, I haven't heard it. Where's my stream? Oh, right over here. So it's weird to have two different Keres acts and one having 2 albums in 2025. Hello, Vargian. Earlier question by Chai Incognito. How do you feel about bands / artists in declining health still playing? Should they stop? Now, if they were smart, they would definitely put their health as priority. But I mean, I get it. They're kind of cowboys of their own time, or soldiers for that matter, and they're gonna die with their boots on. So I get it. I don't know if they should stop, but they should probably slow down in order to survive and make it to see another day, to fight another battle, so to say. So I think artists should put their health as priority because what it's worth, nobody wants to see some handicapped people on stage. And no, this is not a possessed reference. What I mean is, if you're in a bad shape, trying to perform, most likely cannot perform very well, which is just going to give you a stain on your own band and leave a bad legacy. Like if you're like a kind of close to dying or whatever, or suffering from severe health problems, and you're still playing shows, it's gonna seem like, hey, you're not handling your own band or music very well, and it's gonna leave people with bad aftertaste, if that makes sense. So health should be definitely priority because nobody wants to see bad gigs. Better to see no gig than see a bad one from your favorite band. That's what I think. Ermer is asking what was the best release of 2025 in your opinion. Well, my best albums of the year, top 10, is coming out tomorrow. I will not tell you any of those lists, but feel free guessing. If you guess right, I will tell you if you got it right. If you got it wrong, I will tell that either. Or also, but I'm not going to give out my top 10 list just yet. You have to wait for a few more hours. It's going to be out in 5 o'clock. I just filmed it actually today because I wanted to make sure that New Year Eve is passed before making that video. But feel free, start guessing, and I will let you know if there is a band or album on my top 10 list. Antasocial is asking if you ever have a chance look into your Finnish hardcore history from hardcore, very abrasive, maybe not heavy. Well, if I have time, sure, but at the moment I have something like more than 200 discographies to go through, because when I'm not doing review albums, the physical ones I got here, then I'm mostly, listening to bands I have interviewed. So like currently, this is gonna make you some people smile or go, what the fuck? But I'm currently going through Sabaton, the Swedish heavy / power metal band. Why? Because I interviewed them back in like 2017, and I'm doing their retrospective. I'm trying to get that 2017 interviewed bands done this year and then move to 2018. There are some retrospectives I've done already, which I didn't do in chronological order because I only figured out it later. So if there is like already like bands like Baratrum and Horna, Cannibal Corpse, all done, even though I interviewed them later. But only later I figured out maybe I should do it in chronological way, which is why, for example, quite recently did Sinister retrospective earlier this fall, because I interviewed Sinister at Steelfest 2017, so almost 9 years ago. So I figured out I should be doing retrospectives of the bands I've interviewed, and then I can link the retrospective videos to the interviews and vice versa. So yeah, now I'm going through those 2017 interviewed bands, and until I have done all the interviews, retrospectives of the interview bands, I will not start a new project. But I'm talking about, still doing that Finnish black metal history series, which I will always include 3 bands in each episode. That's towards the end, but still not finished. Hello, Gyrolamps and Matzlo. Welcome to the stream as well. Antisocial, I remember hearing Driller Killer back in like late 90s, and I found it to be okay, but not like my favorite things. If there is a favorite punk band for me, it has to be this Shitter Limited. They had very offensive lyrics, and I loved them. They would be like openly, inciting violence towards Finnish politicians. They would openly attack McDonald's, even to a level that they were sued, I think. Like they had this eat shit, if you want to eat at McDonald's kind of a thing. Shitter Limited is, my all-time favorite when it comes to Finnish punk. Not musically so much, but it always brings a smile on my face because it's so goddamn offensive and badass band in a way. And of course I know by name bands like Chaos, Terveet Kädet, whatever. Even saw, of course, some of the punk bands over the years. What is this? My Rain, whatever, is asking, hey Jerry, when can we expect Mikko Aspa interview, if ever? Well, we've been talking to Mikko about the interview possibility at least past 3 years. First he wanted to do it, then he didn't want to do it, then he decided to reconsider the possibility of doing an interview with Rauta. So what can I say is, I don't know. He has changed his opinion about, so maybe someday. And Antisocial, some crust punk stuff, I enjoyed some crust punk back in the days. There were some Swedish bands which had very metallic output. I cannot remember the name of the band right now, but I remember it had kind of like a silvery or black and white kind of a tank on the cover, probably late 90s. And I remember it was kind of a nice, because it was kind of a thrashy with its metallic crust punk. But I eventually sold it away because it still wasn't exactly my kind of stuff. Martin G. Blas is saying, live, love, Rauta. Yes, very much so. Yeah, when you said Rauta dated a crust punk, I guess that sounds about right. I mean, I had this other girlfriend from 1995 who was very active left-wing gal, pretty, smart, fun. And to my surprise, when what was the time I went to her place the first time, and the only one as far as I can remember, I was surprised how she had albums like, Napalm Death's early stuff, Harmony Corruption and all that stuff. I was like, okay, this is my kind of stuff. She even played drums in a punk band. So I was like, this is a keeper. But I don't know. We neither of us remembered what happened to us in the it must have been early 1996, because I remember our thing lasted over New Year's Eve 1995. So something happened in 1996, but we were not dating anymore. But I remember I really liked that gal. And to me, it was a kind of a positive thing that she was into punk and metal. So, yeah, I've dated at least a couple of gals who were into punk. And I can be proud about it. Vargian, I haven't yet. I heard New Sour when it came out, but for some reason it never came for review, so I kind of forgot to revisit it. White Rune is quite good for sure. Alright, Markus, that's a good choice if you just bought a Clandestine Blaze. I bought at least a couple of Manowars this year, and some Celtic Frost and Behex and LP, but I haven't been buying any new CDs this year. Hello, Rodden Punks, Phoenix, Arizona. Cheers to you. Hey, I cannot cheer with an empty glass, so What the hell? Already done with first beer, and we're barely like 25 minutes in. New Sargeist was pretty good, but didn't make it to my top 10. Hello, Jokonson. My night is pretty cool. I mean, first in the evening, we had nightside rehearsals, rehearsing stuff for our next gig in a few weeks. Nordic Metal Cruise 2026. Leaving from Turku to Stockholm and back. Yeah, we are rehearsing songs for that. Then we have our 30th anniversary show a little bit later in the spring, which we will announce soonish. And we were rehearsing songs for that too. So straight out of the band rehearsals, I went to the gym, do some volume deadlifting, get a pizza, took a shower, and now I'm having beers with you guys. Hello, Sigurd, nice to have you here for a while. I haven't been on these streams for a couple of months. And he's going to say, Jerry's favorite album of 25 is the newest Paradise Lost. Well, it's a good guess because that album is indeed on that list. I won't say in which position, however, but it is in my top 10. So far, at least one person knows a little bit of my taste. Gotta say, I haven't heard that Mess album. I have seen some people mentioning it. I gotta say, I didn't hear Havukruunus' new album, so I don't know actually how it sounded. I kind of forgot that stuff. Anyway, guys, this was the stream. Good night and bye. No, I'm kidding you. I just have to get another beer because this first beer was so quickly done. I hope you people are having drinks. Alright guys, now I have to remember, I need to remember to write down these beers. So give me a second. Gotta write down these beers to my friend who provided them. Alright, so the second beer of tonight, and once again these beers are provided by Malasebat. I didn't pay a single dime for these. These are nice guys providing me with some great beer, and they are a great brewery. I really like their stuff, so I'm happy to have them here on this stream. Pina Colada Pastry Sour, meaning pineapple, coconut, milk sugar, mixed fermentation. And here you have this 1/3 of a liter is 5% strong. This is something that I have many times. Not too many times, but many times. And I love it. It's a weird fucking beer. Trust me. If I had to describe musically, let's put it this way. If lager beer was basic heavy metal, right? The basic stuff everybody's cool to do and all that stuff. And if, say, let's say, some hoppy IPA would be black metal, so kind of extreme, not for the mainstream audience, but still quite understandable. This Pina Colada Sour would be some weird fucking experimental avant-garde shit. Most people would be, why the fuck do you drink that? Why do you listen to that kind of music? And I'm like, because I'm a weirdo. And this is weird stuff, but I really love it. It smells like Pina Colada. A cocktail with lots of, cocoa and pineapple and all that shit. I don't even like cocoa that much in a lot of different foods and whatever, but certain things, right way, cool. Pina Colada is a cool drink, and this beer is fucking great. So, Sigurd, if you like pina colada, I gotta get you these babies when you come to Finland. Just remind me, and I'll get that sorted somehow. All right, more questions. As always, tag me, please, so I see your questions. I will always prioritize tagged questions. So do it like Guy Incognito is doing here. Guy Incognito was asking, was your ex-girlfriend hot? Had to ask. Of course. I've always been lucky with hot girlfriends. I know my face isn't exactly Brad Pitt, nor is like Ryan Gosling or Johnny Depp or any of those fucking George Clooney's. I get it. I've never been the prettiest guy in the room. Maybe my poor humor or being kind of a verbal guy helped me along the way. I've always had pretty girlfriend. So lots of love to all those ladies who could, share their life with me, even if it was short or longer time relationship. They were all beautiful people on the outside and most often the inside too. What I'm saying, they were all smart and fun and all that stuff. So mostly nothing but good things to say about them. They were all hot. So, and some of them still are really hot, even though they're like 40 plus. But still, I've been always a very, very lucky guy when it comes to girls. Never dated anything mid, if you want to hear it out like that. So I'm not exactly maybe a ladies' guy, but, I can appreciate beauty. And I'm attracted to beautiful ladies. What can I say? I'm no superhuman in that sense. But of course, I like smart and nice people. And nice, I mean sometimes who are not just, assholes. So, when you're pretty, you're smart, and you're fun, you're witty, yeah. Boring people, I don't like boring people at all. I don't like people who are dumb. I don't like people who are mean. Guess my take on women is very, very similar than Henry Rollins. He might say some brutal stuff about people, but that's why I like him. He's honest and straightforward, and I'm like that. I mean, if you want to be mean at me because you have some personal issues or you're bored with your life or annoyed with your life choices, get the fuck out of here. And this applies no matter what the gender is, because I don't have time for that stuff. Doesn't mean that everybody has to be like super nice to me, and I don't need to be my ass licked. No brown nosing is necessary. I don't actually like it. But what I really like is smart, meaningful, witty, and fun conversations. And if you happen to be pretty, it doesn't hurt. So there is that. Yeah, confidence and humor, they are the key. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, back to their questions. Yeah, that new Sargeist album, like Jokonson said, was pretty mid album compared to the earlier. I wouldn't call it mid, but it's just basic Sargeist. Sarastus' new album I haven't heard, so I don't know. It just went totally under my radar. Never was promoted. I only saw it briefly and then I forgot it. How do you say its name? Senovuk, Serbia. Very, very nice. An Imperial Stout with chocolate, 10% alcohol. Good choice. Imperial Stouts are quality beers. Jokonson loves this beer. Good choice, my man. And Panu Nevalainen is drinking Finnish market beer. Nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy it, just go for it. And yeah, pina colada. Great stuff. Sanobuk, I would say those Imperial Stouts are more like doom metal. You have to have them slow. They're heavy. You don't go them by the blast. You're not gonna be drinking them fast. So for me, Imperial Stouts are kind of like, funeral doom. It takes ages to go through. It's dark and heavy and also very acquired taste. I feel, that's why I think, those IPAs are more like black metal, kind of a deep, attacking, and sometimes fierce. But I mean, I get the other way reasoning as well, of course. Maybe you could say also that barley wines are death metal. I don't know. I'm just, thinking here out loud. So Johansson got Boudoir. 18 beers. Oh, well, that's good. Yep, Sigurd, you said it. People who like to be brown nosed have self esteem. It's almost like you need some extra pat on your back. I don't need that. Don't get me wrong. I do appreciate when people come to me, say at fests, greeting me. They say that if they like, for example, like what I do, of course it's nice to hear. I'm a human being. Same thing, as a musician. If somebody says, hey, I like your show, or hey, you made a good album or a good song or whatever, of course it feels nice. But there is difference when it's more like a compliment versus being brown nosing. So yeah, it depends. Johansson was mentioning, did you listen to new Megadeth's singles from the new album? No, I haven't. But I'm interested in the new album anyway. Yeah, Senok, that's what I mean. Emperor style, you'll drink to them like 45 to 60 minutes easily. Padone Valen saying, I hate to say it, but most like black metal I like were made in 92, 96 by Norwegians. I mean, I get it. If you're around my age, it's most likely you're liking that. I would say, however, it goes even before 92. For example, some of the Burzum stuff got it out like 91. There were lots of people, my age and all. Already in the 2000s, we were pretty much saying that Norwegian black metal started, going in decline by 95 or 96. I mean, there were some good albums like my favorite Gehenna album came out in, I think, 96, Malice. But a lot of things started getting worse after 95. Like, pretty much Dark Throne had been doing their best albums by that time. Same thing goes for Burzum, Mayhem, obviously. So a lot of good things happen in the early to mid 90s in Norway. That's also my favorite era, but then again, it's because I grew up with that stuff. Like Dark Throne is my favorite black metal of all time. And that is because of the 90s stuff, obviously. Well, they did some really great stuff early 2000s, but it's mostly because of the 90s. And of course, bands like Immortal, Enslaved. I mean, I do like Modern Enslaved too. That's not the point, however, because nowadays it's not black metal. But a lot of that great stuff from, came from the 90s for me anyway. Then again, I also like some old Marduk. So it's just not about Norway. Also, some old Greek black metal is cool from the 90s. But Finland didn't have so much to share around those years. A lot of Finnish black metal bands from Finland, which are nowadays cool, they started releasing albums around 2001. There were some who released, of course, stuff in the 90s, like Impel Nazarene and Beherit, of course. But like a lot of that stuff didn't really happen in Finland in those years. So when we're talking about the formative second wave years in terms of black metal, and especially when they're talking about, Norway and, Sweden, obviously those early to mid 90s were the most important years. Like, for Marduk, Dark Funeral, Arcanum, and stuff like that. So here there is that. Hello, Moby, and happy New Year to you as well. Eternal Hails. Definitely cheers to you guys. What again? Yeah, what about Death from the Northern End of Christianity? My band, so what should I say about them? What do you want to know? Panunevalani, yeah, there are lots of new black metal bands, I mean, which are cool, but, there was decline, obviously. Taiteilija Suoli is asking, Revision Review Steelfest 2026, please. I'll guess you will be the first. Well, it's definitely on my to-do list. Will they do it? I don't know. We'll see about that, but I'll try to get it, of course. And Jay Killers is watching the Darts World Championship. Well, enjoy. Mobini is asking any fans of Isengard. Definitely. Höstmörke is one of the best Norwegian albums ever. But there are some hit songs even before that, like Vinterskugge, the kind of a very interesting. So yeah. Taignognito is asking him, are you a fan of Embryonal from Poland? Can't say I am. Never heard them as far as I remember. So I cannot comment on that album, unfortunately. Panunevalani was mentioning, 90s were amazing and stuff. 90s were so amazing. Made in the 90s, atmospheric black atmosphere went so cool when yeah. Second wave came. I agree. A lot of good stuff happening back in the days. Oh, Vargia, now I get it. What you mean? If someone hasn't heard any Nightside albums yet, which one would you suggest to listen to first? To be honest, I don't think it matters because Nightside has only 2 full albums out. I guess, in a way, it would be easier to start with the latest one because Death from the North has this new lineup, and that's the stuff we've been making most music these days. I think this is the most steady lineup ever. But then again, End of Christianity kind of shows the Nightside's 1990s roots because it also has demo included from 1997. So, hard to compare in that sense, but because I think both albums are good. I mean, there are no regrets on my behalf. There's some, sloppy mistakes with the debut album, which I'm not too happy, but it's not like groundbreaking. But overall, I'm happy with the album, but I think Death from the North is more consistent and better album overall than The End of Christianity. So if someone is now new and finding about Nightside, I think it's safer to start with the new album. I mean, we play songs from both albums as well as the demo, or demos, should I say, when it comes to live. So in that sense, it doesn't matter which album you go for first, because you will see anyway, those songs live. Yeah, Marcus, it's obvious that 90s was a time when, black metal was happening in so many parts of the world. Like Greek actually beat Norwegians in the sense of being their first. Brazil obviously had their own bestial scene going on. Sweden was definitely making a mark. And Germany, we should not forget Germany or France when it comes to 1990s black metal. Especially 90s French black metal was so raw and so much more, lo-fi versus whatever was happening in, Nordic countries. And German had some good bands already in the 90s and some quite early on, thinking bands like Moonblood. So there were definitely much more going on than just Norway. But Norway, of course, got the attention because of the crimes, arsons, and murders, and of course lots of quality bands. But in hindsight, it's easy to speculate if Norwegian black metal wouldn't be that big of a thing without these crimes, because it made newspapers and it made the whole black metal scene more high-nose. So there's that. Oh, Jokonson is referring here with this comment. I'm going to read it. Weren't there some kind of weird beef between Nordic countries when black metal wave came, like buried fucking with Norwegian bands. Yeah, well, there was these afterwards we found out there was these fake um, death threats between bands like Imbel Nazarene and I think Euronymous. So they were like sending these calls or calling people at home with making death threats and all that stuff. But as it later became obvious, it wasn't so serious. It was more like trolling and pissing people off. And of course, it worked as a creating rumors. But, technically speaking, that Norwegian and Finnish feud, that never was so much of a real thing. At least what I've heard from the people who are older than me. Sigurd is mentioning, Jerry, I have two friends from Michigan who will probably be coming to Steelfest this year. My friend and his wife. She comments on Rauta videos sometimes. Very, very nice, Sigurd. That's good to know. Always interesting to see American friends on Finnish soil, of course. And glad to hear, Sigurd, that you like both Nightside albums. Very, very nice. Vargian had both of CDs from his Wounds shop. Okay, interesting. It doesn't really matter which way you start if you're into Nightside, but I would just say the newer album is giving more, accurate idea of today what Nightside is all about. But I don't think we changed that much because both are melodic, very, very 90s kind of a black metal anyway. Alex Rose, exactly. Vlad Tepes is a good example. And by the way, nice to have you here on the stream. Long time no speak. I mean, we had this one talk recently on the Battlefield stream, but before that there was years I haven't been talking to you. So it's nice to have you back. Bethlehem is interesting to be mentioned in the German context because Bethlehem was more or less, back in the days, considered more like a dark metal band. Not so much black metal thing. Hello, Tia. Welcome to the stream. So you missed the stream because of studying. Yeah, crazy times. Fuck, it's almost 30 minutes to midnight. I have to be picking up the pace because I have to be going within like 30, maybe 60 minutes. Maybe I can stretch a little bit. And yes, Alex Rose, murder and violence in general sells. Gyrolab is asking, do I like the band Mutilation from France? I think it's pretty cool. I made a Mutilation retrospective, basically ranking worst to best, a couple of years ago when I think I was still living in Spain when I did it, because I remember listening to a Mutilation in a Spanish gym. I was working with the weights and listening to some, revisiting basically those old Mutilation albums, and never did I know the band would be back 2024. And now Mutilation is out with a new album that came out in 26th of December 2025. Quite a contender to my top 10 list, but not exactly quite good enough. But yeah, it's nice to have them back. But what I've heard is some people, even from the French scene, don't really respect Mutilation's main man. I don't know the personal issues, but it seems like there is something about what he has done or said in the past. So there is that. And Vargia, now that you mentioned the album cover, I assume you're referring to Dead from the North. Most likely using that same artist for next album as well. I've also used that for come on. I'm thinking Annihilator's new album, which is coming in early 2026. My other band, Annihilator, is more like a side project thing. So obviously that is an artist I really like. The style for Annihilate, his third album, is very different from that from the North, but I still like how he designs things, how he uses colors, and all that stuff. Yeah, Necrolord is also a good album artist, obviously. Yeah, and Moby, you're right about the Légions Noires. Um, yeah, Jay Killers, it's a classic Satanic War Master picture or photo. Um, Katie Smith is asking, do I have music recommendations for fans of Drawing Down the Moon? That's a tricky question because I really don't know so much similar, albums. I mean, there might be some, but I've been struggling to also, to find similar stuff because it's kind of a transition kind of album, really with whisper vocals and very drony, simplistic riffs, and often those bands which are, very simple in riffs, they're more barbaric, like Ildiarn and the like. And of course after that Beherit soon started making into more ambient kind of music. So that's why I think there are not too many bands, even though Beherit is internationally recognized and liked. But it seems like no band could really copy that style. So my short answer is no. Unfortunately, I don't have like obvious recommendations because it's so bizarre kind of a style. I wish I could just list like albums like that, but unfortunately, I'm not a robot. I'm not an AI, so I don't even remember if there's similar bands or albums. But I'm thinking like my mind is trying to find the answer, but I'm not. I really don't know albums which would be so much closer to that particular era of Beherit. So unfortunately, but if you go for Metal Archive site and look for similar artists, maybe there are some bands that might be worth looking into, but I'm not sure. Odium, yeah, of course I know Odium. I actually interviewed Odium in Norway a few years ago. I'm happy to say that I know and I consider him myself a friend. The main guy of Odium and his wife is also taking part of creating Odium Live. They played a good show at, uh, at the Inferno Festival. And fun fact is, they also have Mustis from Dimmu Borgir, or now ex-Dimmu Borgir, who was also part of their live setup. Too bad Odium only made this one album, and we discussed about making new music and also that one album with my Odium interview. So you should definitely check out that interview about Odium if you have the chance. And Right for Revenge mentioning as close to Beherit thing. Well, there are some overlapping. There are also some similarities. But I also think Right for Revenge is quite a bit of different. Maybe earlier Beherit than um, Drawing Down the Moon would be closer to Right for Revenge. But there are some similarities. That's a good point. Moby is asking, am I a fan of more experimental black metal like Imperial Triumphant? I don't think I have really heard one album by them. I know them by name. And Oranssi Pazuzu, which I would put more into kind of a post black metal thing in a way. No, I'm not really a fan of experimental black metal. There's this reason. I'm not really a conservative type when it comes to, you know, general people, art, opinions, whatever. But when it comes to black metal, I think black metal needs to have certain kind of ingredients in order to be called black metal. And when it gets too experimental and starts going outside boundaries, I feel like it's not black metal anymore. So what I'm saying here is too many of those so-called experimental black metal bands are basically, losing the core of black metal. It's almost like they have certain ideas left, like say screamy or raspy vocals, but the riffs or the atmosphere might not even be close to what black metal, in my opinion, is all about. Or to put it in metaphor, in terms of lyrics, if you remove all those satanic topics or darkness or apocalyptic views and all that stuff from black metal and start replacing them with everyday life, mundane things, Jesus Christ or whatever, it certainly doesn't feel like black metal, even if it's on the outside very black metallic. So I tend to see those experimental bands more like they are not black metal anymore. They might be black metal adjacent. Different way, but similar ways than bands like Fintroll or a lot of folk bands. Folk bands that have raspy vocals, but in the end don't really sound like black metal, if that makes sense. So it depends how much experimental ideas you have in those bands, whether or not it's gonna make sense to me. So usually I don't really care. What bands has the best lyrics? Pink Floyd, Suicidal Tendencies, probably, if we're talking about metal. Slayer, Metallica for sure has some great lyrics too. Yeah, Jokonson, this audio interview was done, I think, in 2022 or 2023. Yeah, it's easy to miss those interviews because I do a lot of them. That's why I have this great link for you. I'm gonna share it once again for with you because it has all these interviews and reviews I've done. Not all the reviews. I think about 50% of the reviews are still missing. But all the interviews pretty much. And you can also see the what to do list. Bands that have declined interview, band that has been agreed to do the interview but still haven't done it yet. But that's a handy tool. Behexen is okay with the lyrics, but I don't consider them great. Mortuary Drape, all the witches dances recommend. I don't know, I never got too much into Mortuary Drape style. Well, yeah, Mobin, I love early Emperor. Really, In the Nights at Eclipse is one of the best black metal albums of all time. But when they started creating too much, stuff that we didn't feel like black metal anymore, it became something like you have this saying, you're a person I used to know. So it's like it's not the thing I'm into really. All right, I'm soon gonna need a new beer. Oh no, wait, there's a little bit left in the can. Something that I wanted to talk about past year 2025, because before my next video comes out tomorrow about the albums of the year, I gotta say the past year wasn't too good when it comes to albums, in my opinion. It was a fair year, but a lot of great albums were missing in the sense of like I didn't get exactly a good amount of, say, 9 out of 10 albums or better. I could actually name only one album 9 out of 10, and it's on the top of my list for tomorrow's top 10 list, and it came very, very late to my radar, and I started feeling until quite late into fall that this is not exactly a good year. Throughout the years, there were lots of albums that were simply good, but not great. So I felt like this year was a little bit of disappointment. When it comes to festivals, I went to quite a few, obviously, which you might have noticed. Places like Turku Saatanalla, Nordic Metal Cruise, Steelfest, obviously, Beyond the Gates, Acrobatic Arts 4, Helsinki Metal Festival. So festival year was quite decent. I got a lot of interviews done. I'm really happy about it, and I can't really bitch about it. Well, Inferno 2025 was boring, so I didn't attend. Next year is going to be different. The lineup is so much better. I will, however, also do this best events, festivals, kind of a video coming out next week, I think. But yeah, overall, I felt like events were better. Albums,
not that much. When it comes to how overall year was for me personally, yeah, really good. Um, and on Rauta, I think this was really one of the better years because when people know the channel, this is not about me. You have to understand the difference. This is not about me praising myself because I'm not doing that. But it helps when people recognize the name Rauta, they recognize my face because it makes setting those interviews up a lot easier. And that once again felt very important to me because, like I said, this is not so much about me, it's about me and my cameraman being able to do these interviews. And I got this special possibility, for example, to travel to Greece in mid November. Thanks to you guys, because you watched the videos that made some advertising revenue, which in turn, made money so I could travel. Not only me, but of course me and the cameraman. So you all people, when you watch these videos, either using free YouTube and watching the ads or being a YouTube premium user, which means you pay some monthly money and you don't have to watch the ads. Either way, both are really supporting the channel. But even more so, those people who are putting some money to, donate to Rauta channel, including Sigurd, the biggest supporter of the channel ever. I kid you not, ever. He has been supporting the channel for so many years with a lot of money. I'm really thankful to that. Thank you so much, Sigurd. And it was also my pleasure to finally meet you. We had some good talks, I think. So what I'm saying here, that all you people who supported Rauta one way or another, you made a lot of these interviews possible. So if you want to thank someone else besides me for making these interviews, you should tap yourself on the shoulder for making these interviews possible. Because when you actually view the content, what I do or what we do on the channel, you also make possible these future interviews to come. So this is my way to say thank you for being there with me. Doesn't matter if you donate money or not, every follower, every viewer is important. Not equally maybe, but I'm just saying that because you support the channel, that's how things are happening. Because while it would be say I do these interviews without payment, that's very much given. I don't pay myself any kind of a salary, But those plane tickets and hotels, they cost. But every time someone watches a video made on Rauta channel or donate some kind of a money like Jokonson, thank you so much. Did here, thank you very much. I'm gonna type it here too. So when everyone who watches the channel and does some kind of support to channel, it means you're gonna get more interviews. So what I'm essentially trying to say here in a brief manner is thank you for watching and please continue to do that, because if you want to make sure that more interviews are happening, supporting the channel is the way to go. So currently we are quite low on cash, but the good news is we've already paid forever costs there are at the moment for Turku Saatanalle Festival, which is there in mid-March, and also Inferno Festival in April during the Easter. So these festivals are already something that are happening, and I'm getting interviews set up for them. Also Nordic Metal Cruise, where we are playing with Nightside. So at least 3 first festivals. No, sorry, 4. Nordic Metal Cruise, Turku Saatanalle, Inferno and Steelfest. At least those 4 are happening, which means more interviews are coming. Now, coming months, we get to save some money, and hopefully we are going to outside Finland once again to do these interviews. And it seems Beyond the Gates is a very safe bet for us for the time being. So all the money is pretty much put on the costs and means more interviews get to be done. And I hope to provide you interesting content in the future as well. So thank you. All right, getting back to the earlier comments. Okay, Katie Smith can say I have heard Necromantic Worship. I mean, there are bands which are copying earlier Buried, all obviously. but Drawing Down the Moon is a little bit trickier one. Yeah, and Sigurd, I get your point about Beheksen's lyrics. I think they're okay for a black metal band, but I wouldn't call them great. Hello, Nevermore Rules. Nice to have you here, back on the stream as well. Jokonson was asking, what about Dimmu Borgir? They feel lame to me, or is it only you? No, of course it's not only you. There are lots of bands and people who don't like Dimmu Borgir because it's so cheesy, over the top symphonic black metal. I'm not exactly a Dimmu Borgir fan. I can respect what they do, but I never liked them too much. I do think they made some good songs over the years, but I'm not exactly a fan of Dimmu Borgir. I get it, why it's so successful and liked. It's easy, kind of like entry-level black metal in so many ways. Alex was commenting, many in their 40s screaming about Satan/Christ is dumbass. I wouldn't go as far because there are so many ways to do that. I mean, you can do smart lyrics about Satan or offending Christ. But obviously, if it's more like some stupid Dark Funeral lyrics, yeah, then it's lame or dumbass. But, you know, in the end, no matter what's the topic, you can do it in a cool and artistic ways or in a dumb way. So there's that. And Mobin, thank you so much for your words about the content and all that. And thank you, Nevermore Rules. Thank you, Alex Rose, for supporting. I missed your comments, sorry. So Nevermore Rules, thank you for your kind words. And Alex Rose as well. Thank you for your donation. And nice words too. Like I said, these are totally voluntary. Don't stress about it. I'm not asking, not to mention begging for money. I'm just saying this is how the world spins, and that this is also how I can make the content free. You know, feels kind of communistic, really, if you think about it. Like, hey, we're sharing these videos, everybody, for free because that's how communism works. But yeah, someone has to pay for that, so there's always this capitalistic side from YouTube. So we're getting very political here. No, I'm just kidding. And Mobin was commenting, I feel like black metal should always be an honest, abrasive atmosphere to truly go against the grain and to be authentic. I really agree with all that stuff. Without the void and culture of darkness, it feels hollow, outsider mentality. Yes. So in a way, black metal has always been kind of rebellious, but rebellious doesn't exclude being philosophical. It's almost like you can also create very dumbass, boneheaded, knuckle-dragging death metal, and you can still include very philosophical takes. So writing smart lyrics is hard. I mean, let's be honest about it. Most musicians are not exactly poets. Like, I try to make smart lyrics, but I'm not ever sure if people will understand what I'm trying to say with those lyrics. I don't know, for example, if Sigurd has read Nightside lyrics, and if he has, do they sound stupid or smart to him? Just to give an example. But I like to make those lyrics so that they would, give some kind of an angle from my brain, my opinion, my life to certain things, yet at the same time being about black metal, without being super dumb. But that's the word. I don't have to read. I'm getting, my eyesight is getting worse. I think that the closest to listening to Dimmu when I got heard from his White Rune album. Yeah, that White Rune was inspired by Dimmu Borgir, but even more Cradle of Filth. Yeah, Black Swan. That's a classic, a band from late 90s Finland. So Sarangar, if I read that correctly, was asking what means Suden Taival word. Suden means of wolves, of a wolf. So basically Suden means wolves something. Taival is basically like a path, road, track, or journey. So Sudentaival could be roughly translated journey of a wolf, path of the wolf, something like that. Um, Alex Rossi is asking, I've seen a lot of BM bands that hate communism. Any ideas on that? Well, I can say for this, Euronymous was commenting that communism is cool because it kills people. So there is that. But when black metal bands seem to hate communism, I think it's a lot related hate for the East, meaning Russia, China, and all that stuff. So in a way, more Eastern mindset. And also because communism by very nature is supporting to, like making people equal in terms of like everybody's getting feed and all that stuff. But, I don't think that's how it works very well. Also known communism via Stalin is of course known to kill a lot of people. So whether you're one of the good guys in black metal saying like the world should be a better place, which I think nobody really disagrees, communism can be bad. And if you're against the communist mindset because it's Russian or Chinese or whatever, it can be understood, yeah, these guys are against Russia, China, and all that mentality. Then again, China can be very, very capitalistic. So there's that. But I think a lot of that communism fear also comes from United States. So American mindset, like communism bad, American capitalism and consumerism good. So, it has a lot to do with our cultural background. For example, I have always, well, most of my life I have lived in Finland. And we're bordering Russia, which always was the guys invading us. And when Russia was equal to communism, obviously a lot of people didn't have anything to do with communism because it was in fact the communist nation that was invading us. So in that sense, it's easy to see Soviet states as the bad guys and as such resulting communism being a bad word. I think that's one idea, but that's not the whole truth. So it's some idea. Yeah, Mobin, I think a lot of things need to deal with some kind of a suffering. If things are too happy, too nice, and all that stuff, it's not gonna turn out into very, very interesting set of lyrics. Yeah, Marcus, I think that the very metallic, basic lyrics, like headbanging for Satana, I mean, does have its place. It's not always supposed to be very philosophical, overly intellectual, and all. I think I think one of the reasons why I like certain kind of a dumb lyrics is they get straight to the bone. They are not artificial. Think about Manowar. It's all about like, let's be metal, and this kind of a brotherhood, camaraderie, being honest, simple maybe, but still rebellious, and not trying to pose as something like very philosophical, like let's ponder if Satan is actually an idea of Western world identity crisis. What if the devil is actually a reflection of our soul getting sour? What if Jesus is actually an ideal personality, but due to our failures as human beings and cultural phenomena, we kind of have to go anti-Jesus because that's only when we realize we are not that smart animals. That feels very much like bullshit bingo kind of a thing. If you get my get my idea. Sigurd, nice. Thanks for your words about Nightside lyrics being creative. Uh, Saragnar, like I mentioned, wolves. Sudan Devil means wolf journey. Well, journey of a wolf or wolf's journey is one proper translation, but it can mean other things. So yeah, like I tried to mention. Yeah, Alex Rose, I mean, I get that, of course, Russia has some good black metal. That's not without saying, but, not, of course, everything coming from Russia are exactly, pro communism either. Yes, Sigurd Norhem is also in my top 10. Yeah, I would say Sudan Taival is quite decent artistic alias. Why not? Alex Rose, I think there are lots of black metal albums that deals with Nietzsche. Most obviously, the Gorgoroth's Destroyer album because it's the other name for that album. How to Philosophize with Hammer is of course taken from Nietzsche. Also, this band Hammer Philosophy, which I have reviewed for a couple of albums, that's also a very Nietzschean reference. So there are obviously a lot of bands that have been inspired by Nietzsche. I think Nietzsche is probably the most recognized and respected philosopher in black metal in general. Archcode lyrics are kind of a juvenile and dumb, but that's actually one of the reasons why I think they're nice. But yeah, there are lots of Nietzschean black metal bands for sure. And people, if you haven't joined, buddy, you think you could be using Discord, I of course urge you to join Rauta's Discord server. And if you want to have a link to that, you can find it on any of the videos. And time for the last beer. Now I should be going to bed right now, but because I have a third beer out in the cold, freezing, I'm gonna drink it and then go to bed. And I can tell you, Jokonson, that the little birds are chirping to my ears that Archcode is making a new album, possibly this year. Oh, Streborg is such a crappy band. Judas Iscariot is awesome. Leviathan and Exhaustor have always been pretty mid to me. And yeah, I agree with what Eetu says about lyrics and themes can be deep, but also an escape from reality, escapism. So there's that. Hey guys, one last beer and then it's Rauta off. And before I forget to mention, it seems due to a very, very challenging schedule, probably the next stream is gonna be on the very last day of January instead of days in February, because it seems I'm traveling most weekends on February, and so the other alternative is to make the next stream in early March. So most likely I'm gonna do the stream on the last day of January, which, if I start after midnight, it's technically speaking the 1st of February Finnish time. For people in America or whatever time zone you might be a few hours behind, Finland feels odd. They will be feeling like they're being lied to. How come February stream happen in January? The reason is exactly, yeah, if I start after midnight, it's gonna be February in Finland and January in other places. But that's only because most likely I couldn't do a stream for first 3 weeks in February, so bear with me. So less than a month away. But we still have a little bit of this stream left, so I'll get another beer, the last one, and then final questions and rounding up the year. And if you want to have some questions about what's coming in this year, I'll gladly tell you. Also be right back. The last beer of today is very fitting me personally because I'm such a drama queen. Oh no, look at this. Drama queen, candy sour, reflects my personality very well. Starting from this pink can. So here we have raspberry, blueberry, licorice, vanilla, and 5.2 in this 1/3 of a liter beer. And look at this face. It's almost like me. Oh no, I forgot to listen to that new Burzum AI album. Oh no, tragic story. Jokes aside, I'm not a serious person. And Nevermore Rules says, Jerry, come back with bourbon. I don't have bourbon here. Lately, what I started drinking in my streams is actually Lafroig, 10 years old. So look at this great stuff. Great stuff. Very fruity, sour, or should I say berry full. Thank you, Jonsered Rocks, once again. Big time for your donation. You're really keeping the Rauta flame alive. Thank you so much, Jonsered. Hope you actually got the latest package I sent to you a while ago. Yes, excellent news, Sigurd, if you will be at the next stream. And by the way, if you want this beer when you're coming to Steelfest, just let me know. Man, this is so good beer. Holy fucking smoke. This is very full and sour. Oh. Oh, too bad, never more rules if you cannot make it Steelfest. What about Jonsered Rocks? Can you come to Steelfest this year? Yeah, definitely become a volunteer if you cannot go to Inferno otherwise. I think the lineup is solid, and obviously I need you there as my, I don't know, friend to join Inferno. I'm sure we would have a great time there. Yeah, smoothie beers are fucking great too. And this doesn't taste like at all like normal beer, but it's fucking great. Anyway, something which I wanted to talk about 2025 about Rauta. As you, a lot of people, I guess, noticed, the very late months of Rauta experienced with some of the reaction videos. As you probably noticed, they're gone, and it seems, for a while at least, I'm not bringing them back anytime soon. Why? Because there are so many reviews to be done. I know a lot of people, you don't care about reviews, but that's what the bands and labels do. So as long as they keep sending that stuff to me, I will most surely review the stuff. Especially I love reviewing vinyl versions, because not only these babies look beautiful, but you also get the beautiful art and all that stuff. So for example, this album, getting its review out in early February, but some vinyl ones are already done for January, so you will see a lot of that stuff. And Nevermore Rules, I think Alex Rose is from Ireland, at least used to be. So Alex Rose, Nevermore Rules, tag Alex Rose. Oh, here he is already mentions. Good work, Alex. Oh, sorry to hear that Jonsered Rocks. Hopefully someday I will meet you on one of those events. Maybe Nordic Metal Cruise that comes to Stockholm and all. So, people see me doing those reaction videos. They were fun to try out, but I decided not to focus on them anymore. You also may have noticed that I love talking about TV series and movies I've seen, and I often think that I should probably talk about them on these streams. But for example, today I've been mostly answering your questions, because that's of course priority. But yeah, it's been fun to see some quality TV recently, and I've been discussing a lot of them on those gaming streams, which finally made a comeback this fall. I've been streaming Assassin's Creed Shadows, for instance, more than 50 times. Now I get you, a lot of you people don't give a shit about gaming. That's fine. But what you need to understand, and I hope you understand, is when I do those gaming streams, most of the talk is about metal, which I think people like Black Widows, who was here, J Killers, and Marcus can pretty much agree. We're mostly talking about metal stuff. So in that sense, they're not that different from this stream, except here are more people and here I am answering more questions. But mostly I've been, gaming and talking to you people, because when you have questions, I try to answer. And, some funny commentation in general. So, yeah, those gaming streams are another alternative to interact with me and all that stuff, while obviously watching the gaming, or maybe just listen, because actually I answer with, voice, so you don't have to actually see the stream to hear the answers to your respective questions. That's a nice story. As is age GT, that your friend got a picture with black coat after a cigar. Funny. And Johansson, yeah, vinyl is the most superior, format, and it's nice to show you these vinyl on the stream. Unsleeving them is it's more fun than unsleeving or unboxing CDs. Eetu Riipinen, I didn't like the Stargate series so much as the movie back in the 90s. But what I've seen lately, these past few months, like It, Welcome to Derry, which was a decent horror show inspired by the It book from Stephen King, and also inspired by the miniseries and movies. That was definitely, I guess, a good recommendation for horror fans, especially if you're a Stephen King fan. You people should be watching that. Recently finished Pluribus, this low sci-fi series by Vince Gilligan, who is mostly famous for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. However, Vince Gilligan also wrote episodes for X-Files back in the days, and this is definitely closer to X-Files than, Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. Definitely worth checking out. Now I also finished Stick, which is almost like golf version of Ted Lasso. Nowhere near as good, but the kind of a easy to watch, feel good series. Maybe for those Ted Lasso fans like me, but not that great. In terms of movies, I recently watched One Battle After Another, which was hyped, I guess, because the director Paul Thomas Anderson and because of the actors Sean Penn and Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm gonna say it was quite typical Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Lots of good stuff, but also like unable to finish it in very, very cool ways. Something that I never liked with Paul Thomas Anderson stuff. I mean, he kind of does nice job, but he has so far never been able to really like make me go wow. But Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn did great roles, so worth watching, I guess. So it's been interesting stuff coming out lately, and I finally also finished playing that Assassin's Creed Shadows, more than 115 hours in. It was a great trip. Took most of my gaming months this year, and now I feel a little bit empty, like what to do next. But probably going for Helldivers 2, at least for a while, to give it a go. And I will be continuing these series, game streaming, that is, hopefully later this week or at least next week. So game streams with whiskey and whatever, and talks, commentary, questions, and all that stuff happening. So people, you should totally consider joining those gaming streams, even if you're not into gaming, because we talk metal and in the end. Mobinet was asking any underground bands to check out. Well, my review list is full of those underground bands and albums, so in case you want to check out something, go for that list, definitely. Does Blasphemy members have the best stage names? Asked by J Killers. Definitely. They have good stage names, but not maybe working so well for a lot of other bands. Drago was asking my thoughts on the new Funeral album. Based on one listen, it sounded cool, raw black metal with a very 1990s vibe to it. I told I was getting a copy. I forgot to pick it up from the post office today of that new funeral. It's supposed to be in the mailbox. Hopefully I will get it tomorrow and then I will review it. Yeah, it's a pretty good album, definitely. Maybe even a good album for sure. Thank you, Jonsered Rocks, for your comments about donating. I hope you noticed that with some of the interviews, I actually did ask the question you wanted me. I didn't remember to include it in all the interviews, but I managed to put it in a couple of interviews, I think. So thank you so much. And yes, more interviews are definitely coming, hopefully already in January. Well, Marcus, if you're a fan of horror and if you liked the original It miniseries, definitely go give this It series, Welcome to Derry, a chance. I think it was better than those It movies. Sarakmar was asking what are my expectations for the upcoming Return to Silent Hill movie. Considering I haven't seen the previous Silent Hill movie, I don't know what to expect. But the gaming movies tend to suck most often. So I don't know what to expect. I think my most anticipated movie is that Nolan movie about Odysseus. Yes, Tia, thank you for your words about gaming streams. I try to have them in a way that we're talking a lot of topics, not just games, not just even metal. We talk a lot of different topics on those gaming streams, and they're usually not that long, maybe an hour or so. Jonsen Rocks, I have actually started Elden Rings already something like 3 years ago. Then I moved to Spain for a while, and obviously I didn't have the game there in Spain, but I got it secondhand later on. Just haven't been finding the time to continue it that, but I am supposed to continue the game at some point, and if I can, I will stream also that one. Okay, nice to know that Never rules have been part of gaming streams. That's good to know. Thank you so much. And yeah, I have actually, I'll show you what I recently bought. So I went to the second-hand bookstore recently, took my CDs there, the ones that I've gotten for review, but didn't want to keep myself. And, well, why I'm trying to get this price tag. So what I found among the games from the second-hand gaming shop was Dark Souls 3 steel case. And, well, this was 30 euros. I think definitely worth getting, because why the hell not? So getting this baby instead of, or for, getting rid of those review CDs which I didn't want, features soundtracks and the game. So I think it was pretty nice of a deal, assuming of course this game works. But I was checking out the CD, the DVD. It should. So I think it was a nice thing to have. Spent no money on it. Just took a few CDs in. And that's it. And Elden Ring I have for Xbox. And then I have Demon Souls on PS5. So they are there to be gamed and streamed at some point. Yeah. Eetu is mentioning that he liked Sarastus' new album from 2025 and see them in Turku. Me too. Eetu, if you see me there, come say hello. I don't know that Sekiro. What I was reading about Sekiro reviews, everybody was saying it's the hardest of all From Software games, and I'm like, I couldn't even finish Bloodborne because it was too hard for me and too annoying at some point, so I don't know. But we'll see about that. Now even my boss is sending me message about testing some sour beers. I was supposed to check on something on the stream. I don't know. Well, all right, stuff taken care of. Well, I played Guitar Hero games back in the days. I remember having a few of them on my Xbox 360. I really loved the Metallica one, but after moving house back in the days, I got rid of all the Guitar Hero instruments and the games. But it was fun while it lasted. And yeah, Mobin, well, we'll get into that at some point. I don't know exactly yet. Will be the next game on Rauta streams, but okay. But yeah, we'll see about that. Helldivers 2 is definitely the next one. But now, cheers to everybody having a beer or drink. I'm definitely enjoying this one. My friend was helping out with these beers and he was just sent me a message. He's watching this, and now I'll be extra careful what I say about the beers. I'm kidding. But anyway, like I promised to Sigurd, when you come to Finland and you want to get some of these, just let me know before Steelfest and I'll try to get you some great Mallasebet beers. I'm sure you will like them. Advent Sorrow, I remember hearing Advent Sorrow, and as far as I can remember, it was like okay, a black metal band, but not that great. But I don't know if they have evolved ever since. Yes, Sigurd, that Horna Hexen split. In my opinion, it's more basically where the both bands peaked, both Behexen and Horna. So that split is among their best stuff. I think Horna's best, however, is the Evangels album. But Behexen pretty much peaked at that era anyway. So good stuff. HB Dixon, my boss, is not really into metal. He's more a rock and roll dude. But he likes some metal. We have some similarities what we both like. But he's more of a rock and roll dude. I mean, he has good taste in music, except when it sucks. But then again, also, he doesn't like my extreme metal taste, so we're even. Have I heard Conqueror and Black Witcher split? I don't remember. I have. And Mobin is having tequila for the stream. Which brand are you having, Mobin? And yeah, I agree, Marcus. After Evangel's album, Horna dipped a little bit, but I think nowadays Horna is the second best era. Yes, Jokonson, you should definitely buy more Mallasebet stuff. This is unfortunately not available throughout the country, but at least in southern western parts of Finland, like Turku area, definitely available quite nicely. And I think some proper beer bars should have it throughout the country. But I don't know the details. Probably information available at their website, hopefully. But if I can, I will be doing my part of beer ambassador thing here. God damn, this name is so long. Yeah, to answer the question, what are your thoughts on Nathan's Madrigal by Ulver? Oh, well, I've mentioned it in my Ulver discography run when I did the Norwegian black metal stuff. Is that the all the albums after the debut albums, in my opinion, pale in comparison to what Ulver did. Um, but I think those two albums that came after, not Bergdat, after Bergdat, they're decent, but not kinda. I mean, the acoustic album is like too much of the same thing, one trick pony. And then the raw black metal album that came after that has some good ideas, but the execution is a little bit off. So to me, it is more like Ulver wanted to so much rebel against the style they did with Bergdat that it went a little bit off. So definitely quite okay albums, but not that great. Edu is having Lagavulin 16. That's awesome whiskey. Actually, one of my favorites. Yeah, and this Alcazan, shirt is great reminder of that band and the era, what they did. I was happy to get them for interview before they quit, actually, in case people haven't seen it. When they played at Steelfest. Yeah, Mobin, my boss is really cool, and he's a really one of my best friends, and we often talk about music. Sometimes he gives me ideas like, "Hey, you might like this and that," and I give him some ideas what he might like, even though mostly we listen to something different. Like he might be into something like old school, bluesy, rock and roll kind of stuff, even some country stuff, even some pop stuff, and mostly I'm like, dude, it's not gonna cut it out for me. But the same thing also applies. If I'm talking about thrash metal or death metal or black metal and shit like that, he's like, boring, you know. But I mean, we have some shared favorites. Pink Floyd, I guess, is one of the most obvious, if I'm not mistaken. I think he also likes Depeche Mode, maybe. But I might remember incorrect. But, he's the kind of guy who likes AC/DC. Actually, my boss didn't know, and I haven't told him. But I will show what I got for a Christmas present from some family members. I'll show you. Hold on. So, totally surprising by some family members' boyfriend to me. I didn't know I would get any kind of a Christmas present because I'm not really a Christmas person thing. So, my boss might actually like that I got Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap album, the vinyl, as a gift from this guy's personal collection. And then Judas Priest Live LP. Very, very surprising to get stuff like this. As you can see, these are pretty much worn out. Secondhand copies. Even smell old. But it was a positive surprise, even though I'm not technically speaking AC/DC or Judas Priest fan. But as a gift, very, very nice idea. So, my boss loves AC/DC, so he might appreciate it, even though he doesn't really give a shit about vinyl. So Mobin is having Don Julio Blanco, clear rich tequila. Tequila, yes. Yes, on Jon said it. I heard about Jonho's unfortunate death, gone way too early, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Saragar was asking my expectations for Megadeth's upcoming album. Very little, never been a Megadeth fan. Jagular is asking what's the best Morbid Angel album? Domination. Yeah, Lagavulin 16 is stupid delicious. Very much. Nevermore Rules. It's my friend Chris C, who also always does these thumbnails. Not just for the streams, but in general for my videos. He's a great guy with great humor, coming from United States also. Aldous of Madness is a great album for sure. It's so thrashy, it's fun. But I like when Morbid Angel started becoming more pure death metal. So basically with Covenant and Domination. I recently actually, just like last week, no, it was around Christmas, I was listening to actually Altars of Madness, Blizzard of the Sick, Covenant, Dominate, and also Heretic, FFF, and yeah, basically everything until I was just driving around doing Christmas stuff and listening to Morbid Angel. Fucking great. Guy Incognito was asking, is Soulside Journey the only good Dark Throne album? Dark Throne album. Yes, in Dark Throne. After that, they started writing it all together like Dark Throne. For me, Soulside Journey is somewhere middle in their whole career. Golden Bonus Guide. That's a weird username. Hi Rauta, finally caught up you live. One question, have you heard Rage Nuclear? No, I haven't heard that one. I have heard, of course, Lord Worm's career in metal music, but never heard that particular album. Gateways to Annihilation is also a very good album, but I wouldn't put it in my top 4 of Morbid Angel. Sams is asking, hello Jerry, I haven't watched a live quite some while, or maybe totally missed the info. Are you doing Beyond the Gates again this year? Most likely I am doing Beyond the Gates this year. Originally I had second thoughts about it, but now it seems probably happening, assuming we got the budget ready for that one, because the lineup got better just recently. I wasn't too enthusiastic about the original lineup announcements for Beyond the Gates, but it got better. And also what affects is that when we went through June and July festival lineups with my cameraman, we were unimpressed. So much basic bullshit going through the June and July in Europe. Getting late. Yeah, Domination is the best Morbid Angel. Covenant is probably the second best. And then Elders of Madness. Have I heard Holocausto? You mean the band? Many years ago. I think Eetu Riipinen is supposed to bring me some of his whiskey. If he has his own whiskey barrel, smoky but sweet. God damn, Eetu, bring that good stuff to me too. Katie is having a good question. I'm not sure if you are a fan, but do you have expectations for the new Tormentor album? Very mixed feelings. Tormentor was not exactly great back in the days, but they were there early on. So of course I'm very keen to hear how they have evolved throughout these years. But then again, it might really go south. So I don't know, but I'm interested in definitely. Gingerbread Rocks is asking anything new from the Nightside camp. Well, some minor things. You might have heard we got the deal with Osmos already late last year. Oh, I mean late fall. Now we are rehearsing some songs for our 30th anniversary gig, as well as our next gig at Nordic Metal Cruise 2026, which is in about 5, 6 weeks. Maybe I did 5 weeks roughly. And yeah, looking forward to perform at Nordic Metal Cruise. And then we have this 30th anniversary show a little bit later in the spring. And then we're making new songs. So yeah, Nightside is doing quite good, I could say. I wish we could play a little bit more live outside Finland. But then again, I'm more into making our third album finally. So yeah, I think we're doing well. Yes, Tommy Laisto, thank you so much for the beers, and glad we agree on domination. Yes, it's one of the best death metal albums of all time, even. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how Tormentor is. They're actually playing as one of the headlining acts at Steelfest. But now, dear friends, followers, haters, whoever you are, man's gotta go. Why? Because I was told that I'm supposed to get up after 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe 8:30. And since it's almost 1 o'clock in the night, I wish I could stay up until 4, do some gaming right after the stream and all that stuff. But unfortunately, I'm not lucky this time, so I have to get going. So I will wish you a good night. Thanks for being part of the stream. Managed to do almost 2 hours despite me being very, very pessimistic about 90 minutes. So, yeah. And, well, Mobin, I don't think the album making process is intense for me. I always think it's too slow. But it is what it is. And thank you so much, Sigurd. Thank you so much for your donation. I think what you people are donating right now is means that we're gonna go and buy those Beyond the Gates flight tickets as soon as we have money. At the moment, in early January, we don't. Hopefully by February we should, but we'll see about that. And yeah, good time to be there early enough because Beyond the Gates is still in August, so we're not in a hurry. And yeah, good night, Jonsered Rocks. Nice that you visited. So much thank you for your donation once again. Thank you. And if you have some final questions, please share them right away. And Eetu lives near Turku. That's awesome. Yeah, good stuff, Eetu. Keep me posted about it. And Markus, see you on the gaming streams. Oh, Jonser Rock, you're spoiling me. But yeah, Tia, nice talking to you once again. So, people, I hope to see you in those gaming streams. Like I mentioned, I should be doing them hopefully already tomorrow. But if not, then probably Monday. But I needed a little bit of break after finishing that Assassin's Creed Shadows. It was such a great game. I really enjoyed it. But now I've been mostly busy with the other stuff. And hopefully enjoying more gaming and more streaming with you guys. You've been a great audience. now this is Rauta's January 2026. I don't know if we really went that far as to talk about what's happening in coming months, but you will learn on those videos what's happening, and of course next stream is always right away in about few weeks. So in case you want to mark down your calendars, the next stream should be within 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, 4 weeks exactly. So 31st of January should be the next stream taking place. So make your questions ready, write them down, and get them ready for the next stream with your drinks and all that stuff. And Chris, thank you for being a follower of the channel, and thank you for your words. Hail, 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 Satan, the Uncertain Rocks. Off you go, people, and all that stuff. Oh, one more question here, Bright Sarakmar. Some comments about Alice's departure from Arch Enemy. She saw her giving a massive unfollow through at AA Instagram, no matter what, even Angela. Well, it seems like those ladies from Arch Enemy cannot live without drama. But will be interesting to see what kind of vocalist they have in the future. Maybe go back to having a male like Jon Liva back in the days. But we'll see about it. That it's an interesting band despite some negative bullshit and all. Anyway, my next video will be indeed about year 2025 top 10. And since it's 1 o'clock right now, it's out in about 16 hours. So that's tomorrow's video, and on Monday and so forth we will have more reviews. A lot of vinyl stuff coming throughout January and all that stuff. So stay tuned for new album reviews, and stay tuned for another set of videos. There will be book reviews, gear reviews, and all that stuff throughout January as well. So something new and something you're familiar all. Anyway, now good night and bye bye.